the rolling Cotswold hills to thatched cottages and stately homes, the Cotswolds are quintessentially English. And carved into this landscape is a unique place.
To tell us why he thinks the Georgian city of Bath has the best of British views is explorer Ranulph Fiennes.
I'm probably better known for travel in very remote parts of the world. But today, I want to share my affection for a very special place, much closer to home, in the southwest of England. Bath is Britain's most perfectly preserved Georgian city. Here we find Pulteney Bridge, the only bridge in Britain lined by shops, Bath Abbey, the last great medieval church to be built in England, and for me, best of all, the magnificent Royal Crescent. For 4 years, we were lucky enough to own a house here, and it was great every morning to wake up and be able to look at this fantastic view. I believe that this is the archetypal English city, charming, elegant, and with a fascinating history that goes back over thousands of years. I would like to persuade you, the voters, that Bath is also the place where we are going to find Britain's favourite view. I'm starting the journey to my favourite view of the city at Cross Street Baths, originally a Georgian building and now part of the wonderful new spa complex. This is what made Bath world famous: hot water. $10,000-year-old rainwater is heated up 2 miles under the ground and is then fed up to here, where it comes out at a constant 45 degrees centigrade. More than 100,000 visitors a year come to Bath to enjoy the reputed healing powers of the mineral-rich water, Britain's only natural hot springs. It is a tradition which dates back to at least 70 AD, when the very first Roman baths were built here. Although my memories of visiting as a teenager are not from quite that long ago. Many years ago, probably in the early 60s, we used to come down here and swim in Bath, but I can't remember exactly which pool it would have been.
Well, the town swimming pool at that time was very close to here, and it was fed with the same hot water, so you would have been swimming in water just like this.
Bath has never been a particularly big city, but at times it has been extremely popular. In Roman times, what would have been the population of Bath?
Well, ironically, it would have been quite small, but the religious spa here attracted people from across the Roman Empire, and so probably there were more people visiting than ever actually lived here. And that would be true also of the 18th century and the 20th century, 21st century today.
So you could say this was the very first UK tourist site?
Absolutely. From AD 75, Bath has welcomed visitors to come and admire its hot springs and to look at its wonderful landscapes.
Back in Roman times, these spas had a sacred significance. The city was called Aqua Sulis, water of the gods. But by the 18th century, they were all about extravagance, as the city of Bath became one of the country's most prestigious playgrounds of the rich and the famous. I'm joined by my wife Louise, who was born here, to view the Georgian splendors of this fine city, just as its visitors would have done 200 years ago, helped by the fact that much of the city has remained virtually unchanged. Every single door is white. I wonder if you were wanting to paint your door another colour, whether the council would allow you to. This is a place immortalized in the novels of Jane Austen, herself a visitor and sometime resident of the city. Her books, Northanger Abbey and Persuasion, describe the decadence of a place where the well-off came to see and be seen for the season. Made fashionable by the infamous cad and gambler Beau Nash, self-proclaimed King of Bath and Master of Ceremonies, the city attracted a who's who of 18th century society. And his address was one of the very finest in Bath, the Royal Crescent. An elegant curve of 30 Georgian town houses overlooking a perfect lawn and the natural beauty of Royal Victoria Park beyond. In what other city in the UK would, in the centre of the city, have a view like that? The grandeur of the buildings were all a part of the gentrification of Bath and the work of locally born architect John Wood and his son. Bath has been called the best planned town in England, and whilst the houses were built in a classical Georgian style, the layout of the city had different influences altogether. For John Wood the Elder believed that the ground on which Bath was to be built was once a prehistoric place of worship, a belief which created a city of spiritual symbols. The King's Circus was perhaps Wood's greatest masterpiece. So this is a typical city square, but it's completely round.
Yeah, John Wood, he loved the idea of ancient British architecture and always believed that on Lansdowne Hill in Bath there were two temples, one to the sun and one to the moon. But they were destroyed. I mean, there's absolutely no evidence of these at all, but he believed they were here. So the circus is his restored temple to the sun, and the crescent is his restored temple to the crescent moon. I mean, he never got to actually see it built. He died before it was built, and his son, John Wood the Younger, actually built it. But it's definitely John Wood the Elder's design.
You can see what's attracted the tourists here since Roman times. From the reputed healing qualities of its mineral-rich hot spas, to the warm glow of the Bath stone buildings, to the quaint cobbled streets, to its works of art and amazing architecture.
But the very best view of all has to be found here at the Royal Crescent.
This arc of Georgian terraces, overlooking the historic Royal Victoria Park, are a monument not only to great British architecture, but to the romance and grandeur of another era preserved in beautiful Bath stone. So I'm asking you,
Please vote for the Royal Crescent in Bath as Britain's favourite view.
You can vote for Bath to be in the final when the lines open at the end of the show.